Hello and welcome to my review of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 2. So I watched Season 2 a few days ago, but I sort of wanted a bit of a chance to digest. So I got my notes ready, and I, of course, have got my thoughts also ready. So this season, instead of being it's still 12 episodes long, but instead of being 12 episodes that are divided into two 6-episode arcs, instead they chose to do an arc for each turtle. So each arc is 3 episodes long, and they focus specifically on one particular turtle: Raphael, Donatello, Leonardo, and Michelangelo in Mutant Battle Arena, The Island, Rise of the Night Ninja, and the Big Muck, respectively. And yeah, I overall enjoyed this season, but let's get right to the brass tacks and talk about Mutant Battle Arena. So yeah, this one is about Raphael. He joins, as the name implies, a mutant battle arena run by the Purple Dragons, and of course, because it's Purple Dragons, there's more than meets the eye to this battle arena. And I will say, my really only complaint about this arc is that Raphael is just a real jerk. Like, they really distilled him down to being angry and wanting to beat up everything, and yeah, that's a bit of a character trait that he has in Mutant Mayhem, but this show really personifies him being angry and just upset with everything, and it doesn't really give him, at least in my opinion, a solid enough... Well, I mean, his reason is that he's angry. He's Raphael, he's the angry one, he's cool but rude, but they don't really give him, in either season, enough of an arc that I can see him in Mutant Mayhem 2 that comes out next year. I can't see him in Mutant Mayhem 2 being a bit better. There's no real growth, and I think that's really my only complaint about this particular arc, is that Raph has no growth, because overall I love the action, I love their use of the mutantables. Strangely, there are less mutantables with speaking lines. Obviously, you have Rose Byrne and the actress who plays Wingnut, who's Natalie something or Natasha something. She's actually really funny, and she actually, I think, kind of has the most to do this season. But genuinely, Wingnut and Leatherhead are the only two who really have speaking lines throughout the season, because I can guarantee you, and I'm just kind of guessing here, that Post Malone showed up to read some Ray Fillet, sentences, and they probably spread that out across the whole season, or the whole series, because this show got canceled during season 2, or right before season 2 came out. And yeah, I don't know, it's just a little frustrating that they started off with kind of an okay arc this season. I like the action. I overall like what the villains are doing. I just didn't really like Raphael, and he's the main character of this whole shabuki. I gave this, now I did it letterbox style, I gave it a 2 out of 5. Next is Donnie's arc, The Island. I really liked this one. Donnie has quickly become one of my more favorite characterizations from the Mutant Mayhem universe. I really like his actor, Micah something. I really like his actor. I also love Raphael's actor, Brandy Noon, and honestly, based off of my sort of fandom of him, my appreciation of most of his acting ability, it kind of stinks that they've given him almost nothing to work with in this iteration of the Turtles, but I thought Micah did a very good job playing Donnie in this. It's crazy to go, because yes, literally last night I rewatched Mutant Mayhem just to sort of get a feel of what that film was like. And it's crazy that like he sounds so young, like such like an 8-year-old in that movie, and now he's like during the production of the show, his voice broke, his voice dropped, and now he is sounds like a man. It's insane. But no, I really liked Donnie's arc in here. I like Donnie specifically. I loved Irma. Irma looked very, the way April should look. She's a scrawny, like, white woman. But I really liked Irma. And I really loved seeing Toka and Razar in this show. Toka is played by the snapping turtle. He's played by the guy who played Dracula in the Batman vs. Dracula. And, of course, Razar is played by the dude who played Galactus in the most recent Fantastic Four film. So that was really cool. And I forgot it was Galactus, actually. I had to look it up. Because I was like, I know he's a celebrity. He's really cool. And I also really liked, they brought in a lot of Secret of the Ooze in this arc. And I really liked seeing Professor Perry. I thought Professor Perry was cool, although I feel like I feel like with Perry, there's just a lack of motivation. And I think that's a bit of a problem with this particular arc, is that there's just some conveniences sort of thrown out there. Perry doesn't really have a lot of motivation, and his motivation, once we get it, feels rather weak comparatively to what it could be. Toka and Razar and all the other mutants are running off of this idea that they get from television, but like that I just feel like they don't really do a whole lot with that idea. And I still really enjoyed this arc. I love how they didn't make Donnie in this iteration a super genius. He's 15, and they do a very good job at like having him be smart, but he's not like a rocket scientist. He's still 15. I liked seeing Leo, Mikey, and Raph together, especially since they have to sort of figure out how to properly do they have to figure out the mystery apart from Donnie, because Donnie sort of has a bit more of an idea, and he even sort of is able to, I think he gets like kidnapped and then taken to the island, the titular island, and the other turtles have to kind of have to sort of piece all that together. But I don't know, I overall really liked this, and I feel like this show, I think, this season is much better than previous, because the turtles are actually together, and you get that, that relationship, but the continuation of the relationship that you saw in Mutant Mayhem proper. Next, of course, is Leo's arc. I gave Donnie's arc a 3 out of 5. It actually was a little higher, but then I watched Leo's. So Leo's arc, Rise of the Night Ninja, was amazing. I immediately started to like love this season, or love this particular arc immediately. I love what they were doing with Leonardo. The continuation of him being a leader who doesn't necessarily know 100% what he's doing. He just knows that he has to lead. They do a good job at sort of being like, this iteration of the Turtles aren't exactly superheroes, unlike other iterations. They're just, they stopped Superfly in the first film, but they aren't superheroes in the same way that other Turtles are. They literally did something heroic, and now they want to be 15, like proper 15-year-olds. And Leo's like, well, I mean, we could do more. We could actually be heroes. And that's where Night Ninja comes in. He takes on this persona along with his brothers, and they become like the Night Ninjas. And it's really fun. You get a new villain named Scratch, who's like a cat with an eye patch. He's really cool, and I really loved his backstory. Honestly, Rise of the Night Ninja feels like a really good continuation of what was going on with Mutant Mayhem. The idea that Baxter Stockman's ooze created so many different mutants as sort of the catalyst for this whole shibuki is actually really cool, and I really loved Scratch. I wasn't quite sure about his voice at first, but the voice did grow on me. And I loved his motivation. I love his characterization. I love that he had fleas when he got mutated, so his fleas became mutated. As it became his henchmen, and it was just like really fun. There's is it literally the third episode? I think it's the second episode of the arc. There's this absolutely hilarious nonverbal, completely done through animation and animation, sound design, music, very Samurai Jack-ish, but it's comedy. This very comedic sort of, this is the backstory for this guy, for Scratch, and it was just utterly adorable and super fun. And it made me really be like, oh yes, Scratch is like a really formidable foe. Like, this is so cool. And honestly, I mean, this whole show is called Tales of the TMNT, and each beginning of these respective stories, whether they were in season 1 or season 2, was like, I have a story to tell you. And it's very much what's real and what's not real. There's a bit of a, is this all fake within the universe of the Turtles, because it's called Tales. And I remember hearing people talk about that during the first season. It's like, is this show canon? I like to think that it is, but there are certain things that make me question that. Plus, who knows, now that this show is canceled and now that it appears Paramount, Nickelodeon want to move on to a new live action reboot, who knows what the future of the Mutant Mayhem series will be. But this is this really was a great season, and this is in my top 3 favorite Ninja Turtle shows now. Like, Tales really is. And I hope to see season 2 someday soon on DVD. And I, of course, gave, did I say a negative? I didn't really have too much of a negative, for this arc. I gave this arc a 4.5 out of 5. I didn't necessarily want to do, when I started, do 0.5s, but this is a 4.5 out of 5. I don't know, maybe if it was, instead of, I do think that because it's kind of like Andor in the fact that it has it's arcs in like 3 episodes, it's 3 episode arcs, but because they all sort of have to fit into that 22-minute runtime, that's sort of a bit of an issue, especially in, I think, the first 2 arcs is a bit of an issue. But I don't know, I think this arc in particular, Night Ninja was able to sort of really take advantage of all that mileage. Forgive me if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. But now it is time for Mikey's arc, the Big Muck. So, Rod, from season 1, he got his hand on mutagen blood. Some people kidnapped him, and now it is up to the Turtles to figure out, okay, obviously we know the why Rod has mutagen blood, but we got to figure out why Rod has mutagen blood, how he got it, and who would kidnap him. Was it his father, Rod Underwood Sr., Todd, his brother, or Maud, his sister? And that's it. That's what this arc is about. And this was definitely the funniest arc. I really love this version of Michelangelo. I talked in season 1 about how Mikey's and Leo's episodes really did steal the show for me, and this really continues that, because their arcs are definitely the highlights of this particular season. And of course, I did grow to love this interpretation of Donnie a bit more, but Mikey was really funny. I loved how sort of goofy and cheesy this this one turned out to be. All the stuff with the family felt very Final Destination, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, these guys are awful. Like, Rod's family are complete and utter sacks of crap. And you sort of want to see them get comeuppance. Because, yeah, Rod himself is bad. You know, he's a little annoying, but his family's worse. And you're not quite sure if they kidnapped Rod for the mutagen blood, because they all seem kind of obsessed with pleasing their dad. So you're not quite sure what's going on there, but you want to see them to get some kind of comeuppance. Does that happen? I don't want to spoil it. But it felt very, I guess, specifically Final Destination Bloodlines-esque in its way. Yeah, it's ultimately really funny. This was the most enjoyable, or in terms of an entertainment factor, most enjoyable of these kind of. Obviously, Leo's, I think, is the greatest one. That one really felt like a Ninja Turtles movie. But the Big Muck most certainly was fun. It most certainly was entertaining. I do think that his relatives could be a bit annoying, but I think that was kind of part of the fun. And overall, I liked the inclusion of the Mutantables. I liked basically most of these guys, but particularly the voice cast, both the returning and new faces were especially great. But I don't know, there's a certain little, and I talked about this, there's a certain little characterization type of issues that I have with this particular season. But overall, I really did love this season, and I gave the Big Muck a 4 out of 5. And yeah, that is basically it in terms of my thoughts on this show. And yeah, please comment below, let me know, what do you think of Tales of the TMNT? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you upset that it got canceled? I understand why Tales got canceled and why they are pivoting from Mutant Mayhem to do a new live action reboot. Even though I think Mutant Mayhem 1 did well at the box office, you know, live action adaptations are a bit more legitimate, and it seems that the new owners of Paramount, they even said this when they canceled Tales of the TMNT, the new owners of Paramount Pictures, Skydance, want to really focus on IPs, recognizable IPs. They don't want to just keep doing the same old. They want to focus in on a small group of recognizable, you know, franchises. And of course, Ninja Turtles is so famous. You know, it's literally been famous for the last like 42 years. I love TMNT. You love TMNT. And I understand why they want to capitalize on it. But I don't know. Please comment below. Let me know. What did you think of Season 2? Did you love it? Did you hate it? All that kind of fun stuff down in the comment section below. Remember that God, He made you special. He loves you very much. Hope you had a very lovely day. Hope you had a very lovely week as always. If you were in the snowstorm like me or the ice storm like me, please tell me how you're doing. I'm of course doing well, but I gotta go back and turn on my heater. But yeah, I love you. God loves you. Cowabunga and Turtle Power.